Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Every now and again, a story comes along, and it is a very, very good, happy story. It's a story you love doing. And this is absolutely one of those stories. And it's all to do with Glasgow's low emission zone. Now, they brought this in at the beginning of June. We're now at the end of August. And there's a court case going up to fight the legality of it. And the case that the campaigners are bringing is so extraordinarily obvious, it's a wonder that nobody thought of it until now. If they lose, the ULEZ is no longer. And every penny raised in fines will have to be repaid with interest. It's going to cost the council millions. But then they deserve it. Susan Aitken is a moron and forgot to check one basic tenet of what she was doing. Is it legal? We'll find out. And I do hope that this is the story that makes you so happy that all those people who are regular viewers and the newcomers will just suddenly go, yeah, and will hit that subscribe button. This is the story I think definitely deserves a subscribe. So do please hit it. But we'll go through the story and see what's happening right now. So SNP-led Glasgow City Council could be forced into a humiliating LEZ U-turn, which includes paying back fines worth over £1 million. And of course, under current local government rules, that was with interest, number one. And then also, you've got to think all those cameras have got to be taken down, the signage taken down, because there is no LEZ, and you cannot have those cameras up without it, because they are low emission zone cameras, and they can only be there because of the low emission zone. Without that, they don't have planning permission, and they must come down. Isn't it delicious? Susan Aitken's administration faces court action as campaigners have claimed that Glasgow's air quality has already improved without the need for restrictions for vehicles driving into the city centre. Now, Aitken, of course, brought this in claiming fresh air, wonderful clean air, and that's fine if you had dirty air. But there is a legal limit on what is defined as being dirty air, and if you're under it, your air is therefore legally clean. And so if you've got clean air, then there's no need for a low emission zone because your air is already clean, and therefore it has no function, it has no existence in law. Glasgow's got one of the cleanest city airs in the entirety of the United Kingdom. Isn't this cracking? So, motorists could be refunded more than £1 million in fines if campaigners win a court action against the controversial LEZ eco scheme. Since June, Glasgow City Council has issued 8,855 penalty notices to drivers of older vehicles who have breached the city's new low emission zone, regardless of how clean or dirty their cars are, done on age, not emissions. Therefore, it is a tax on poor people, not a tax on polluting cars. Figures for August due out next week are expected to show the potential cost of the fines by Glasgow approaching the 1 million mark in just 3 months, be much higher. However, a judicial review is due to be heard in October, claiming that the low emission zone is not required, as improvements in Glasgow's air quality had already been achieved since the scheme began with buses in 2018, because it goes to show that it's buses that are the big polluters. According to the Herald, Judge Lady Poole approved the judicial review as it raises an important matter of public interest, and it certainly does. The newspaper quoted her as saying interest included wider issues of air quality and climate change which underlie the matters challenged, and the entire legality of the scheme. Well, of course, if you're bringing this in under the lie that it's environmental and air quality, and yet your air quality is already legally good, then this scheme is therefore not there for air quality. It is merely a cash grab. And if you are lying about one thing but actually doing it for another thing, then that thing is illegal. It's fraud against the people, effectively. William Patton, a director of a city repair centre affected by the low emission zone introduction, described the scheme as illegal and irrational. It is understood that his LEZ Fight Back campaign has received a 100,000 pledge from a mystery donor, which will help fund costly legal action at the court session in Edinburgh. Mr Patton said success in court would kill off Glasgow's low emission scheme and those planned to begin in Edinburgh, Aberdeen and Dundee next June. He said without the fines there is no LEZ schemes. And it can be shown that in 2022 the air quality targets were already met. They had achieved their goals. Glasgow's low emission fines doubled in July, the second month of the scheme. July is a holiday month in Glasgow, so the 5,933 penalty notices issued could have risen further this month, August, taking the total raised in just 3 months to around £1 million. Should the scheme be ruled illegal, these fines would have to be refunded with interest. And they are deeply in trouble because they are pushing this out as being low emissions because of the environment, and yet there's no need for it. And if they're saying it's environmental and it turns out, as I say, it's purely cash driven, then that's fraud and they need to go to prison. They need to be prosecuted. Meanwhile, it's been revealed that £1.5 million worth of taxpayers' money has been paid to a number of public relations companies to promote the lying benefits of LEZ schemes. Despite having communication personnel on its books, Transport Scotland contracted this LEZ promotional work to a string of external companies. They've got their own staff, but their own staff they can't trust, so they went outside and spent £1.5 million of public money on outside contractors on what is now potentially an illegal scheme. Will they then go to those contractors and try and get the money back? Don't think so. The Mail on Sunday reported that this included £10,000 to Progressive Partnership, £194,000 to Republic of Media and a whopping £1.3 million to the Big Partnership. Scottish Conservative Transport spokesman Graham Simpson said, "The scale of promotional costs for LEZs seems excessive. This will stick in the throats of charities, businesses and taxi drivers in Glasgow, suffering as a result of the SNP's council decision to rush ahead without properly engaging with them. This is taxpayers' money spent on top of that to pay for the vast army of PR staff already employed by the Scottish Government." Because everything is spin, spin, spin. Because they know that all their decisions, all their policies are mad and bad. But in order to get them through, they have to spin them to hell. The fact is that no matter how much they spin them, they're still mad and bad. This low emission zone is no such thing. I've covered it before. It's got nothing to do with emissions. It's all to do with the age of cars. You can drive a brand new 6.3 litre Merc through the city centre and that's fine. But a 1.1 Corsa that's 100 times cleaner but just happens to be a day outside the age limit is banned. Where is this anything to do with emissions? It's not emissions. It's a tax on the poor. And of course it's the poor, relevantly, who pay the taxes, who pay these fines, tends to be the poor. Basically, they're fining people for daring to be low-waged or poor. That's this progressive taxation. And they're doing so under the guise of clean air. And yet that air is already clean. A spokesman for Transport Scotland said, "We have the responsibility to undertake essential communications, including television, digital and radio marketing campaigns to help people and businesses prepare for these changes. You also have a duty to these people to tell the truth and to not lie and to not extract money under fraudulent means." And yet that's what you've done. And I'm going to round off and I'm going to come up. Now, I happen to know that the legal limit for dirty air is 40 micrograms per metre cubed. And if it's under that, then the air is deemed to be clean. Nowhere, and I mean nowhere in Scotland, has had air that dirty. Everywhere is cleaner than that. There is no reason for a low emission zone anywhere in Scotland because the air is clean. And indeed, the very worst concentration, and I had to look this up, the very worst concentration of bad air anywhere in Scotland. Anywhere in Scotland was literally just outside Glasgow's bus station, where it hit 39.1. It was 0.9 under the limit. And that is in the confines of a bus station. Everywhere else in Scotland is cleaner by a long way. Now, I've done some figures and I'm just going to read these. I had to look them up because it wasn't in that report. Yes, you have places where Byers Road to 25.3 micrograms. Dumbarton Road 24.4. Nithsdale Road 22.1. Anderston, if I can get the words out, 21.6. Great Western Road 19.8. Townhead 16.8. All these in the centre of Glasgow. Most of them under half the legal recognised rate of dirty air. And then they come up with this bullshit that Glasgow needs a low emission zone. Glasgow's got the cleanest air of any city in Britain. They're lying two-faced bastards. Susan Aitken needs to be prosecuted for fraudulent extraction of monies, and she's doing it specifically against poor people as well. So it's a class thing. I think you could probably get in the 2010 Equality Act on this one, because it is targeting one group in particular. And there's a case that the 2010 Equality Act could be used on that as well. So yeah, I think Susan Aitken, I think a short stretch, 5 years, say. 5 years in prison. It would concentrate the mind wonderfully. And of course, it would stop all the other wankers in councils up and down, not just Scotland, the whole of Britain, from trying to bring in the same crap. Here's hoping, fingers crossed for this guy. I hope he wins. We the viewers of this channel, Mr. Patton, we tip our hat, we clap our hands, and we get behind you. We support you 100%. Please win your case. Now, thank you very much for watching, gentlemen and ladies and others. If you've enjoyed this video, do please hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. There'll be a follow-up. We want to follow this up. We want to follow the court case, and I'm sure you want to hear it too. So do please hit that subscribe button. And for the rest of you, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, shit like this, the truth like this, will come out. And when you go a little bit of research and you can find out what these figures are for these clean air zones, it makes you wonder why Glasgow Council don't publish them, and you have to go digging. Bye.